So good afternoon, good morning. Welcome everyone to this first session of the new program that we have here in Bizagi called Bizagi Pulse. And thank you so much everyone for being here. Thank you so much for your time, for your attendance, for your interest in this session. After 3 years, running the Bizagi Process Professor program, we have decided to have do the next step, the additional step on this community and the way on how we actually share the latest platform capabilities or even some of the important features that we have in the company. And we decide to actually give this space a whole new name, and that's why we are presenting what it is called Bizagi Pulse, right? So Bizagi Pulse has as a main objective to create or to have an environment and actually one whole space where we can transform businesses through automation. The idea of this Bizagi Pulse is that you are able or that you can actually attend every single month. It's going to be one session in English, one session in Spanish. It's going to be the third Wednesday of the month. And you can attend the sessions to actually hear about some of the most important updates that we have been doing in Bizagi as a company. Here in this space is going to be the place where probably you can come every single time that you want to hear about what it is included in the latest platform version, right? In every single release that we're going to do, we are going to focus a couple sessions of Bizagi Pulse to actually go deeper and to explain exactly what it is included, what are the elements that we're having or what that we're adding into the version, and how you can have or take advantage of this. Also, in this Bizagi Pulse program, the idea is that I can have some some invites or some people that join me in the sessions, so people that can actually help me to go deeper into maybe some technical concepts or some technical aspects that are required for us. And the idea is that you see maybe other faces in this Bizagi Pulse version. So the idea and the first session that we're going to be talking about here, it is to go deeper and to analyze with a lot of information everything that is how we are able to unlock the business productivity using Ada. Ada is our official Bizagi's AI assistant, is the first delivery that we have done in the artificial intelligence space. It has been in with us since the last version or the latest version that we have in the market, that it is basically fall 2023. In fall 2023, we present Ada, and my objective today with the session is that we can actually go deeper and understand everything that we have. Let me introduce myself. So my name is Kevin Guerrero. I am basically the technical marketing manager here at Bizagi, and I will be joining just you during this first Bizagi Pulse session that we got. In general, what you can expect from the session that we are going to be doing in here. So we will always try to follow this structure when possible. Sometimes maybe if I have someone joining me, it will be maybe a different format, but in general, the idea is that you can hear from a theoretical point of view what's happening, what is behind of all the elements or all the capability, the concepts. One of the most important things that you understand the reasons behind of the development of all the capabilities that we will be presenting here. What is the business value that we're presenting and that we're giving to the different customers, and then that you are able to see directly what is happening with the platform on like in a live demonstration, right? That you can see how everything that we talk about in a theoretical point of view actually is being reflected in our platform and can be done directly when we're working in our platform, okay? So this is in general what we have. This is the structure that we're going to have it. Remember that for Bizagi Pulse, every session is going to be recorded. So if for any reason you are not able to attend one of the sessions, it's fine. We will always have the recording of the session, and we will publish those recordings in the Bizagi YouTube channel, but also we will publish those recordings into the Bizagi Pulse video library that we're going to have available for you. And also, before that we jump into all the detail about this session, remember that every in Bizagi Pulse, you will also have the opportunity to actually be or to subscribe to the Bizagi Pulse. If you decide to subscribe to Bizagi Pulse, basically what this means is that every single month we will automatically register you for the next session. And 1 week before the session, you will receive an email with all the information about the session and the link that you have to use if you want to access or if you want to connect to that session. That will avoid that if for any reason you forgot to basically register in one of the sessions, it's fine. We will do it for you. It's a little checkbox that you are going to find in the registration box of the Bizagi Pulse. And with that, you will be sure that you will be with us every single month. Okay? So let's start with this session, right? So in this session, as I was telling you, we will be focusing a lot in how we can unlock the business productivity with Bizagi Ada, with the artificial intelligence assistant that we have. And in order to understand a little bit more about the assistant and what we have done or why we have or come to this one, I would like to just give you some background of the elements and the information that we have added into this point, right? So one of the options or one of the elements that we got it into this particular point, it's how Bizagi have come into this point and what is the way on how we actually been working into this point, right? So one of the things that we got it into this point is that a couple of years ago, when we took the decision to be full cloud-only company, the way on how we are structuring or working in every single version is actually through strategic directives. These strategic directives is basically the way on how we can be completely sure that on every single release, we're delivering some value or some features or some capabilities that fits into any of our strategic directives, right? From the version that it was Spring 2023, it means the version that we released 1 year ago, we present and we basically include as part of our strategic directives, the first one that is the one that here, call it Modern Experience. With Modern Experience, basically we're talking about or we're including or helping our customers to do applications in a simple way, right? Using processes as a backbone, but at the same time that those applications looks really modern, that you can customize them in an easy way, and that actually now you have the opportunity to create contextualize and at the same time personalize applications here. In Modern Experience is everything that is under the Bizagi Apps capability. Bizagi Apps capability, that is the one that we introduced in Spring 2023, presenting the different components to create an app. The Experience Matrix, the App Designer, the App Launcher, right? So all of them is going to be under the Modern Experience strategic services. And it means that on every single version that we release into the market, we need to provide new capabilities or enhancements into all the elements that allow our customers to have a modern experience. The second strategic directive actually focus a lot in what it is the governance. This is mainly for those companies that are already, let's say, really advanced or has a higher maturity level in terms of those digital transformation programs or process automation programs or creation of applications. And one of the things that we want to focus them, it is when you are running any of this program in a corporate level or in a global level, what you need is that the platform that you are using has governance built-in capabilities. It means that you can control who can do what, who can access what, who can view what. So it's how I can control everything that I am doing under the platform in a really easy way. Then we got the enterprise class, that it is basically that you have everything that you need to actually be in that, let's say, robust environment that you need. That our platform is fully flexible, that you can actually trust in the platform with all our availability, with reliability, that if for any reason, right, you have high peaks on the use of the platform, basically everything that is needed in the platform reacts automatically and you have a 24/7 service running all the time when it's needed, right? And last year, with all the boom and everything that was in the market and everything that we hear about it, we basically introduced our new strategic directive that it is basically the AI productivity. When we're talking about the AI productivity is how we can actually boost the business and IT productivity using AI assistant, but at the same time that are safe and that are actually responsible. Because one of the, let's say, fears behind of the AI assistants or in general about AI is the security and how I'm completely sure that my data is not being exposed to everyone in the world, right? So under this AI productivity is that we have introduced and we have created a whole strategic direction for Bizagi using artificial intelligence. So when we start doing this analysis, some of the first thing that we did was actually, okay, now here, let's start thinking about the different group of users that actually use our platform, right? So in general, we were able to classify those type of users in three main categories. The users that interacts directly with the application, with that end application that we build for them, and these are our end users. These are basically our knowledge workers, our traditional case workers, the managers, the PPs, the ones that enter every single day into one of our applications to complete some task or to see what is happening with the business, right? And when we identify that first group, we say, okay, now if we put AI assistance or AI elements or AI capabilities for those users, what are the things that we can achieve with them, right? What are the things that they are looking the most to actually be more efficient and to actually have better productivity? So we say, I don't know, maybe for them, it is going to be really useful if we provide them some conversational analytics for them. Or maybe they want to get summaries of all the work that they have been doing, or that they can have help everywhere, right? So that was a good starting point. Then the second big group of users that use our platform are the ones that actually under the Center of Excellence category. These are the ones that maybe has already good programs of automation, of digital transformation, or application going on. And usually what they need, it is basically the centers of excellence or the product owners or maybe some process improvement teams. And for them, what we were thinking about is, look, maybe the kind of things that will improve, right, the productivity or boost the productivity for them, it is how to increase the reusability of some elements, how we can identify easily if I can improve my processes, if I have bottlenecks, if I have resources that are under utilized in my organization, right? And finally, the last group of users that we got there are our development team, right? Everyone that actually go into our development environment, use Bizagi Studio, and are the ones that are creating constantly those applications, right? Here, we were thinking about the full spectrum of developers that we have. The ones that are the professional developers, the citizen developers, the power users, the DevOps, whatever is included into the development of applications, those are the ones that actually are. And for them, what we say is like, hey, what kind of things they can get, or which are the initiatives that can actually improve the productivity for them. And here is how we can speed up the development of those applications, how we can create automatic data models or automatic process diagrams, or actually do quicker testing. And having all this context is that we start developing our tools. So we say, okay, now, once that we got all the information, which are the benefits or the outcome that we can get from there. So if we provide artificial intelligence elements for the end users, they will be able to do better and faster decisions, have shorter training times, better customer communications. If it is for the centers of excellence, they are going to increase the reusability of the elements or automate the optimization of their processes. And if we're talking about the development ones, it is how we can actually increase the faster development and empower even citizen developers. So with all this content, we say, okay, how we are going to tackle this problem and which is going to be our first step. So the decision, it was that we are going to start creating AI assistants that boost business productivity, starting mainly with the application level. It means for the end users. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to do anything at all with the Center of Excellence or even with the developers. No, actually, we're working right now in some AI tools that will help or will actually increase value for centers of excellence and also for development. Those are elements that we will be releasing during this year in the spring 2024 version and fall 2024 version. But our starting point and the decision that we made, like, let's provide and let's give something to our end users. And one of the reasons behind of that, it is, look, it's not that we're not, that we don't care about developers or we don't care about Center of Excellence. But one of the things that also we analyze is actually the last couple, let's say the last 7 to 10 years in the market, a lot of, let's say, trends has been focusing actually how to increase the productivity for developers, right? If you think about everything about low-code apps and even no-code apps, right, or no-code platforms or low-code platforms, all of them were completely focused in the execution or in improving, right, how we can deliver or how we can automate processes and create applications in a faster way, right? So we have been focusing a lot in the development. Actually, if you think about within Bizagi, we have a lot of tools, a lot of wizards, a lot of assistants that are completely focused on low code and no code, trying to actually speed up that creation of applications and that speed up of process automation. So our main reason was that. And it's like later during the next year, we will be focusing on Center of Excellence and development teams. For now, how we can provide AI capabilities to our end users, the ones that works every single day in our applications. So based on this is that we came with the solution that I am going to present to you. And before getting into all the detail, there is something that I just want to explain because it's really important. And when I am presenting this AI assistant is one of the most common questions that I got. And it is, artificial intelligence has come to actually change the way on how we interact with everything that we do probably in our daily basics, right? But also one of the things that is maybe that people is more scared about today about artificial intelligence is how in an enterprise, let's say environment, we can be completely sure that the data that we have, that our customers' data, that our providers' data are not being exposed to everyone, right? And here is where I want to highlight something important. From one side, we're going to have everything that is the public artificial intelligence that it is being hosted by OpenAI and a lot of other providers, take into account that maybe OpenAI is the most popular one. It doesn't mean that it is the unique or the only one. Actually, you have a lot of artificial intelligence all around the world, but probably this one is one of the most popular ones. And in the public artificial intelligence environment is where you are going to find these really popular ones, right? ChatGPT, that is the one that allows you to have text to text, right? So you put a question and ChatGPT give you an answer in a text. You can have DALL-E, that is text to images, and you can have Whisper, that is basically text to audio, right? Also, we have been seeing now recently that we have a lot of other tools that even give you text to videos, right? So create a video of a kid playing in the park. Then you got the video in display. But one thing that I want to highlight here is that actually our artificial intelligence assistant does not use the public resources of OpenAI. What we have done in Bizagi is that we have included or we have been using the private environment from Microsoft and OpenAI. So this was, let's say, a really let's say a good way to be in the correct place at the correct moment, right? Because remember that Bizagi is a cloud native platform, right? A platform as a service. And actually Bizagi hosts, the cloud environments are hosted in Microsoft Azure. So because of that, we were able to have access, early access to these private environments between Microsoft Azure and OpenAI and develop our assistant. So it means that we are having really secure environments and our customers can actually be relaxed because we will not expose those data outside. So with all this context and with this introduction, what I would like to present to you, it is actually what it is our first Bizagi AI assistant, and it is basically called Ada, right? So Ada, or the reason why we decide to call our assistant Ada is because of Ada Lovelace, right? If you maybe have here a little bit of history of who was Ada Lovelace, Ada Lovelace is considered one of the first, let's say, programmers of the history, right? The history say that she was one of the first one to actually create an algorithms. So in honor of Ada, we have called our assistant Ada, right? So now let's try to understand what is Ada. First of all, what is the main reason behind of Ada, how it will work, and what is actually that problem that we're fixing, or what is that value that we're giving to our customers. So first of all, Ada is going to be an assistant, right? An AI assistant is going to be available for end users. So it means that only end users that go and work with our applications will have access to them. Ada is going to appear as one page within those applications that we create for those users. And Ada is going to work as a chat, right? So basically, it's going to be an assistant that you can ask things about your processes, your application, trends that you have seen in your business, right? In a natural language. So it means that the user doesn't need to understand the complexities of what is behind of all the scenes. They don't need to understand the entities, the relationships, the attributes, the data, nothing at all. They just need to do natural language questions, and with that, Ada is going to give responses to them, right? So it's like, hey, Ada, if I am working in a bank, I want to know which are all the customers that has a vehicle loan, a checking account, and let's say a credit card. That's it, in natural language. Ada is going to take that information, is going to execute what it is required from a technical point of view to get that response, and is going to present a response to the user. But the responses that we're presenting to the users are not plain text, right? It is not that, okay, these are the users that you were looking for. No. All the results that we got from Ada actually come directly with actions that we can execute over them. So if I am asking over customers with credit card, vehicle loan, and a checking account, right? The response is going to come in the context of the customers, and I'm able to execute actions over those customers. Like which one? Like, hey, you know what? Let's send them a new marketing campaign to have a new product, right? Or let's send a communication, or let's update the data of the customers, or actions that we can execute directly with over those results. So the main objective of Ada is that our end users can have reporting capabilities since day number one. One of the things that we saw with some of our customers is that they enter into this development cycle of processes or automation of processes or automation or creation even of applications, right? And once that they finish the application or once that they finish the process automation, they wait 3 months, 6 months, even 1 year to then later get into the reportings that are required for those processes, right? With Ada, from day number one, the moment that you put that application that you built for that end user in production, you have reporting capabilities just right away, just next to you, just with natural language. So that is one of the most important things that we have here. But also is that Ada will help us, or is going to take over and delete, let's say, remove that barrier that end users used to have because they didn't understand that, let's say, complexity about how the data was organized or how it was the structure of the data. Ada is here for you just to give you the responses that you want without knowing any technical detail. And finally, the third main point that Ada is coming here to help our customer is that we are going to decrease the dependency with those data analysis areas or even with these IT areas when we require reportings. One of the things that our CEO was saying in one of our meetings is that a lot of times what it happens is that basically you are working in an application or you are working in a process that has been automated, you have a report, and that report gives you some general idea of how your application or your process is run, right? But the report was created by the data analysis and analytic area, or IT in some cases. And if you want to modify that report because, I don't know, you think that it's good now to have, let's say, a different view of that report, right? Or an additional filter, or to change some data that we have there, you need to go into that area, request the changes that you want, and then wait for 1 week or 3 days or whatever is needed to actually get the response. But what happens usually in companies is that those reports are never static, because every single time that you got that dashboard, then you are thinking about how I can actually get information from a different way, or how I can filter that data from a different way. So with Ada, that's done. You can have your reports, you can have your dashboard. That's still okay. But now, every single time that you want to get deeper into data, you can just ask Ada right away. And some of the most important capabilities and let's say characteristics of Ada is this one. So first, Ada is 100% safe. It means we're not using the public ChatGPT, we're using the private one. But additional of that security, you can actually get into the detail to define exactly what do you want that Ada has access to? So it means we are going to have governance in place for the responses that Ada is going to give it to you. And that governance actually came, let's say, even in 5 big levels, right? Here, I'm going to show you just 3 that are the most important ones. But if we think about from a really high level, the level of governance or data governance that Ada allow us to have are even 5. Why? Because first of all, you can set up the configurations of Ada for every single application that you are defining. So you can go and enter into one of your applications and start doing Ada configurations. So that's the first level. The second one is, within one application, how do I want to manage Ada in terms of the different personas that are actually working on that application? That's the second level. And now we have these 3. So once that you are in one application and in one persona, it's how every single of those personas that are working in one of my applications what will have access to the data. So the first thing that we will set up here is entities. Do we want that Ada has access to all the entities that we have in our project, or maybe just ones that actually make sense for that specific persona that is working in our application? So we say, okay, now in the lending application, for the lending manager, I want that Ada has access to the entity that is called customers. Good. Now we have that. But we can go even deeper, defining exactly the attributes. Do we want that when we ask something about a customer to Ada, Ada retrieve or give us a response all the attributes? Or maybe if we are talking about GDPR, or we're talking about data privacy of the information of the customers, we don't want that all that data is being exposed, right? So what if from a customer, I don't want to see the identification number, or I don't want to see the passport, or I don't want to see the social security number? I can go into that level and say, okay, Ada can give responses about customers, but I don't want to have that Ada has access to absolutely all the attributes, only about this subset of attributes that I can select and I can configure easily, right? And finally, even if we want, this is an additional level that we want, is like, okay, so I am in the lending app, I am as a lending manager, and I am allowing that lending manager to ask about customers. But what if I have lending managers located in different regions? What if I have one for NORAM? What if I have one for EMEA? What if I have one for Latin America, right? And I don't want that every single lending manager can ask about the whole world. I don't want that the lending manager from NORAM is asking about customers in Europe. No, I just want to have that control. So the final level of data level governance, it is about of these subsets of information. So yeah, you can ask about customers, but you cannot ask about all the customers, just about this subset of information of the customers. Which ones? Customers located just in LATAM, or just in EMEA, or just in NORAM. And in that way, we can even control how we access that, right? Now, in a really, really easy high-level point of view, how actually Ada works for us, right? So basically, this is the way on how Ada works. So basically, first of all, you are going to have Ada as one page within one of the applications. What we are going to happen is that the end user using natural language is going to ask something to Ada. Ada is going to take that information or that question and is going to get it into the app server. With this, we're going to generate the prompt that it is going to go to the Azure Private OpenAI GPT. That is going to be the place where we will be able to generate that SQL query that allows me to get the answer that we're looking for. We execute the query in the Bizagi space. We give we came down with the results, and remember that those results are going to come always with actions. So if I am asking something about customers, it means that my results will be about customers and the actions that I can execute over those customers. Okay? Now, from a technical point of view, let's say that the architecture that we have with Ada looks something like this, right? Really, really a high-level point of view. And probably one of the most important things about here, or about the options that we got in this point, it is every single question that we are doing or that we're executing at this particular point, or that we're getting here, it is everything in terms of the ODS database. So it means that I am not executing or I am not getting information into this point of the production database because we don't want to affect that performance, right? So every single question being executed to Ada is going to go directly to the ODS database, and in that ODS database is where we are going to be able to just execute it there, okay? Now, this is just, let's say, the Ada cloud architecture. But before presenting and introducing Ada into our, let's say, into our market, we were able to actually have, right, a higher perspective of artificial intelligence capabilities in our organization. So before Ada, we were presenting and we were offering to our customers AI capabilities through connectors. So our customers were able to actually use one connector, one out-of-the-box and ready-to-use connector that use OpenAI public services. So that is the connector that actually we use as with the public ChatGPT, right? And some of the examples that we can get there is like, can we take advantage of that connector? Yes, of course. We just need to be careful, right? We just need to not expose private data into that one, but we can actually use and take a lot of advantage of that one, right? Like, I don't know, we can just ask that public ChatGPT to suggest me a text for a new marketing campaign where we are offering, I don't know, an insurance to some of our customers. Or I can use that ChatGPT to reply an email of a customer. So that is still there. And also, we actually have connectors that use the Azure Cognitive Services, and that's what it is being complemented in this whole, let's say, a spectrum of artificial intelligence services that we have now in the platform. This is just the beginning, right? Ada is just the beginning of what we will be doing in terms of artificial intelligence capabilities. We will be presenting more elements, more features, and more capabilities now in what it is going to be our spring 2024 and also our basically fall 2024 capabilities that we got into that point, right? So all of this is the beginning and it looks like that. Now, what we have done in terms of the configurations of Ada, right? Like how we are getting the configurations in Ada, where we can go and set up everything that is required for us. So what we have done is that in the experience matrix that it was presented with the spring 2023, where we introduced Bizagi apps, we have added one additional section within this experience matrix that it is called the AI domains. These AI domains, it is a little checkbox that we have in the experience matrix. And once that this AI domains checkbox is active, we will have a whole new column in the matrix where we are going to be able to define the AI domain for a specific persona, okay? Now, in really general terms, and before going and see all of this in live, what do we need to set up? What do we need to configure for Ask Ada to work in your environments, right? So the first thing is, remember the 5 different levels that I mentioned to you that we can control of Ada, right? So you can configure it in one particular application. So you need to go to the corresponding experience matrix of that application, then to a particular persona. And once that you are in that persona, you can define the AI data domains. And first of all, you need to define the entities that you want to use, the attributes that you want to use, and finally, if you want to handle or if you want to manage a subset of the data that you got over there, right? Every single time that you are defining an AI data domain, you need, or it is highly recommendable that you define examples, right? Examples that are going to be the ones that will be presented to the end user about what kind of things that user can ask about, right? Like, hey, you know what? You can ask about customers. You can ask about products. You can ask about providers. Whatever you want is example that you can give it to them. And once all of this is completely set up and all of this is actually configured, you have to go into the app designer, and in the app designer, select the different AI data domains that you want to use on your application, okay? So now, let's go down and let's show you, or let me show you directly how this looks like actually in a real application and in a real environment. So here, I am going to be using a really a high-level application that we have built for sourcing and vendor management, right? So this is going to be an application that we built for manufacturing or in general for supply chain customers, right? And in this sourcing and vendor management, we're not going to see all the application. We're going to just focus on how ADA comes here to add value into this application. From a high-level perspective, the sourcing and vendor management basically consists on these elements, right? So in this application, we have multiple vendors, multiple products, different type of assessments that we can do to the different vendors, different type of RFX, right? Request for information, request for quotation, request for whatever is needed, we will be added, and we are going to just include it and control it here. And in this application, all these objects has some interactions between them, right? So it means some products can be offered by different vendors. One vendor can offer multiple products. One vendor can have different type of assessments, quality assessments, security assessments, compliance assessment, whatever we want. We can have different type of RFX, right? Request for information, request for quotation, request for pricing information, whatever is needed is have it here. And within this application, we have actually different personas that interacts with the application. So from one side, we have Peter Smith, who is actually our vendor manager. That is the one that has as a main objective in this application to see everything about the different vendors that we got in the application, right? He has access to everything about the vendors. Then we have one specific vendor, that is Alexander, and he is just one vendor from all the other ones that we have. And finally, we have Mary Johnson, that is our sourcing manager. So if you think about in this application, every single of these personas can actually need maybe a lot of type of questions or can ask a lot of kind of things to Ada to actually be much more productive in terms of what they do in the application, right? If Peter is controlling and managing all the vendors, so probably he wants to know things about the vendors, right? Like how many vendors do we have active? How many vendors we have per region, per country, per city? Which is the best vendor in terms of supply for into office supplies? Or which is the best vendor that is giving me much more discounts? I don't know. And then giving you the trend, right? Which is the vendor that has been selling more in the last 6 months, right? So all those questions are the ones that we can come here and solve it with data in a really easy way. Now, in terms of Alexander, if Alexander is just thinking about just one vendor from everything that we have, maybe for him, asking about vendors, it doesn't make any sense. He just wants to know about his business, right? How many products do we have? How many order product we have it? Which is the product that we are selling the most? Which is the product that we have given much more discounts? Which is the one that we're selling the less? And maybe we can add promotions, right? So every single context is different. And according to the place that they are working, we can solve a lot of type of questions directly with Ada into this point. So now, how all of this looks like actually in an application, right? If we are working with an application, if we're seeing all the data that we got, and we got these elements, how this looks like, and how all the configurations that we need to do within Ada looks like. So I'm going to just show you really quickly first my one application or one project that I have it here that gives me the opportunity to show you everything that we need to understand from Ada. The first one is that remember that we have 5 different levels of data governance when we're working with Ada. So the first one is the application. Where do we want to have Ada? In which application? Can we have it in all my applications? Yes. Can we have it in some of them and in some others? No? Yes. It's up to you to define where Ada is going to work, right? So the first thing is to select the experience matrix related to the application that you are working. So here we will be working with the vendor and source management, right? Here is where we saw our experience matrix. So remember that this one is a really easy way or a simplified view of what the application does, right? So it is as rows, you are going to have the personas, as columns, you are going to have the data objects, and the intersection between them, it is what the persona can do over that business object, right? So what the vendor management can do over one vendor. And that intersection, in a lot of cases, are processes. That is why we have our value proposition in the market actually coming here as true, right? It's modern apps powered by processes. So processes are the backbone of the applications that we are creating, right? But now, what happened with data? So we are already in one application and we are already in one persona. So how can I define the other three levels of data level governance once that I am here? So all the configurations and everything that we need to do in terms of the AI data domains, it is located under this section with this little checkbox. And with that little checkbox, what we will be doing, or what we're going to have it, is a whole new column that allow me to do those configurations and those setups in this point. So here's where I define AI data domains for different personas, right? Now, the configuration of an AI data domain, first of all, is optional. It doesn't mean that every single persona must have an AI data domain. It's up to you. You can define for which personas having AI data domains or having ADA as an AI assistant provides more value. Once that you define, or once that you want to define the AI data domain, the first thing that you will have to do is select which data the corresponding persona will have access to. And this is basically summarized in which entities can be used in the question that we're going to do to ADA, right? Here, if you see, our entities are, let's say, split or separated into different sections. From one side, we're talking, or we're seeing all the information on the top, and basically this is everything in terms of the master entities. So about what if this persona can ask about. So I can ask here about vendors or the vendor assessments or the different contracts that we have or the different addresses that we have. The second section is basically fully focused in the filters or in the group by option that we can have it here. Here, what we're selecting is basically our parametric entities, right? But now, if you remember, in the data level governance for ADA, the second thing that we can select, it is now the attributes. So it's like, okay, you know what? Good. I like that I can ask about the vendor, right? It's good. But do I want to see in the responses all the information from the vendor, or there is something that I definitely don't want to do? So I can go deeper into that level to select specifically the information that I want to present in the responses that ADA is going to bring me, right? So it's like, look, you know what? I want to know the address. I want to know if the vendor is active or not. But for me, I don't want to expose the annual gross revenue. That's something that I don't want to expose. So here, what we do is to go into that deeper level that allow me to select specifically the attributes that are going to be presented in the responses, right? Now, finally, you have one additional option. And that additional option is when you want to get subsets of information. So I don't want that we can ask about all vendors in the world. I just want to ask the vendors for, let's say, for category, or only the vendors for region, or only the vendors for city, or for state, whatever we want. So that's the option that is available under the record level access. By default, every single time that we're creating a new AI data domain, the persona will have access to all the information. So all the information of the vendors, all the information from the customers. But if we don't want that, then what it is going to be required for us to do is to change that configuration and add one specifically a option here. So I want to show you how that is going to look like if we just have this AI data domain with that option. So we say, hey, you know what? Here, I am going to allow you to ask about customers, right? But you know what? I have customers all around the world. And if you are located in one particular country, I want just to restrict the access to the responses for only the customers that are located in your own country. So here, take a look that now we are not having the access all the data that is included in the data domain, but actually we're saying that we want to access just a subset of information. And how we get, or how ADA generate that subset of information, because it's going to take the information from the persona and it is going to apply, let's say, a filter over those responses. Here, take a look that I am going to be using country as the entity that I want to use to do the subset, and I am going to say that I am going to filter all the customers based on the country where that persona is located. So in that way, I have control of that subset of information. So once that we have this, let's say that now here we have the different data level governance that it is required. So we already defined ADA for one application, for one persona, the entities that we can access to, the attributes that are going to be displayed in the answer, and even if we want subsets of information. Now, once that we got all of this, we need to just go into the app designer, and in the app designer is going to be the place where we will be able to define or to set up who is going to be the Ask Ada page, because this is going to be a page that is not going to be displayed for all users. We will display Ask Ada only to the ones that has AI data domains defined. And that's something that we can do in two different ways. If we generate the application directly from the experience matrix, that is something that is already set up. You don't have to do anything at all. If we are creating an application from scratch, then we need to go to the settings section, go to the Ask Ada configuration, and here what it is going to happen is that we will be able to see all the personas that interacts with the application, and we will be able to see which are actually the ones that has AI data domains. So it means that here we got all the AI data domains that are available, and only personas that has AI data domains are going to be the ones that will see Ask Ada page over here, right? So these are all the configurations that we have. How this actually looks like when we're working in one of our applications from scratch. So this is actually my application and Ask Ada running just here. Let me just show you, or let me just highlight something here before we got into this one. So part of the configurations of the AI data domains or the elements that we should define here, it is, we will define the entities, we will define the attributes. If we want, we can define basically the subsets of information, but also is highly recommended to define examples, right? Again, these are going to be really good guidelines or really good suggestions for that persona or for that end user to know what they can ask about, right? Or even how they can write the questions, right? I don't know. We have seen some question that starts saying, "Hi, Ada," and then put a question, right? So it's, no, Ada, you don't have to say hi. You can just ask whatever you want directly. So examples are really good ideas to show them how they can get all the advantage here. And also something really important about Ada is that actually Ada talks or speaks a lot of languages. So if you define your examples in one language, you have the localization option or the multiple language options that allow you to translate those examples into multiple languages. And then according to the language of the persona that is working in the application, we will display those examples in that way, right? So now, here, let me just now go back again to our application. This is going to be the way on how it's going to look like. When we enter into the Ask Ada page, Ask Ada is going to show you first some information in terms of, so this is Peter, right? So this is the vendor management user that is working on this application. The first thing that we will present to Peter in Ada is what kind of elements or about what kind of elements you can ask about. This is basically what we define in the AI data domain in terms of the master entities, right? On the other section, it is what you can use for filters or even for grouping are this one. This is basically all the parameter entities that we define here. And we can enter directly to see exactly all the values that we can use into this point, right? So take a look that you have states, you have countries, you have vendor categories, everything that you want. And then down here, we're going to go, we are going to have the examples here. So how Ask Ada works here? You just put any question that you want, click send, and then you got the response that you want. So in the example, you can just select the one that you want, click on send. Ada is going to send this information into the OpenAI private ChatGPT, generate the query that is required for us, and then present this one into the user. And one of the things that I was telling you when we were talking about in the presentation is that the results that we got here in Ada are not just plain text, are actually elements that allow me to do or execute actions. So take a look at here. I just asked things about, hey, Ada, can't you just give me all the information of the vendors that I have right now active? I am having a result about vendors. And then take a look at here. I can even execute some actions about the vendor. Do I want to send a communication? Do I want to update? Do I want to start an assessment? Do I want to modify a vendor? What do I want to do with the vendor, right? Ada, in this version, it is basically presenting information in the table format as we saw it before. Also, we're presenting the information in bar charts and also in some cases in the pie chart when it is required. Something really important that we're doing with Ada is that the idea is that those end users that doesn't have any technical knowledge can ask whatever they want in a natural language and understand what they are getting. So take a look at that, why we have been including this information box, right, that gives a really easy and understandable summary of what is being executed here. So I am getting all the number of vendors that I have by category, and it gives you a description. You are actually getting all the vendors for each category. It is going to join this table with the other one, blah, 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 and it gives you the result. So you don't have to understand the complexity of what is happening here. You just put a question, give the response, and execute the actions when it is required for you, right? For some users, only exclusive users with some options, they will be even able to see the query that is being executed. This is not a default view for all users. All users, the idea is that they don't have any idea what is being executed here. They just type the question, get the result, and understand what it is happening here in this particular point, right? So this is the way in general on how Ada works. I think that with this one, I'm going to finish my presentation. We have a couple more minutes before we finish our session. So what I would like to do before we finish our session is to invite all of you, right, to our next session of the Bizagi Pulse. Remember, we're going to have one session every third Wednesday of the month, one in English, one in Spanish. The next one is going to be on April. Remember that you can subscribe to Bizagi Pulse. If you do that, basically you don't have to go and register every single month. You just register one time, and then we will take care of the rest. Every single month we will register you automatically, and you will get the email with the login and the invite for whatever you needed into that point.